Okay. So with the compilation and execution phase recap, let's move ahead with the next business scenario for the day, which is about creating a data set that contains all Australian employees whose bonus is at least 3,000. Now, in our current example, where we had worked yesterday to create a data, so let's have a new data step where I create work dot subset to data, right? We are reading it from Orion dot sales data set. We are selecting only those observations where the employees are from the country Australia and their job title contains a word which is rep, right? Then we had to drop what was the variables to be dropped. So as per this scenario, the variables which we dropped were employee ID, country, birth date, employee ID, gender, country, birth date. So let's use this drop statement with employee ID, gender, country, birth underscore date. Correct? So with this, your statement ends, and we know we are also creating a new variable, which is going to be the expression to calculate the bonus, and which is the 10% of your salary. So you write bonus equal to salary into 1.0, which is 10%. Correct? So now when we execute this, we are quite familiar that a data is going to get created. So job title spelling, so it's going to be your job underscore title. All right. So let's check 61 observations. All right. Let's see your profit data equal to its subset to run. But now what is the requirement that the new data should contain only those observations as per this business scenario, that only those employees from Australia who are at least earning a bonus of 3,000. So we know that we have calculated bonus. So we have to select all those people who are earning 3,000 and above or getting the bonus of 3,000 and above. Correct? Are you all with me?
Yes.
All right. So to achieve this, now you know we already have this where we are calculating bonus. So how do I subset this data where I'm going to select only those employees who is earning bonus 3,000 and above. So how do we write here in data step? Yes.
We apply where
Okay. So we already have where. So we can add this by using another operator and. Yes.
and also.
Okay. So how do I write bonus? Correct? Greater than equal to 3,000. Fine. So let's execute. First the data step. I get an error. So what this error is telling? So what do you understand by this?
It is not on the file.
Yeah,
Yeah, why it's not in your Orion.sales data?
because we subsetted that.
No, we are creating this bonus. So bonus is not coming from an input data set. So understand, when we are using a where to subset or filter your data on this criteria, these columns have been contributed from input data, but bonus here is not coming from input data set. It's been created while we are processing during execution phase. But then how do I subset it with this? So instead of using where in for subsetting your data for bonus, we use subsetting if. So it's telling this subsetting if statement executes the statement for the observations that meet specific conditions at the time of execution phase. So where works during compilation, whereas subsetting if works while executions on PDV when the bonus has been created. So now when I execute this data step, that is what now I'll be getting the data is only with 10 observations with all the employees from Australia with sales representative and their bonuses all 3,000 and above. Got it? So this is how subsetting if works. So if you check your log, so you get this condition is been satisfied. See, in log, it's telling this where statement because it's a compile time statement, but it's not giving you the information about subsetting if. Why? Because that is execution type of statement during the process of creating bonus. When bonus is created, that time it checks if the bonus value is greater than 3,000, only those values are processed during PDV or during execution phase. Getting it the difference between where and subsetting if. So this is subsetting if, okay? So that's what this statement is all about. So we know we are calculating bonus. So it's telling a where statement is used to subset observations when the selected variables exist in the input data set. So bonus is not coming from input data set. So we cannot use it in a where statement, and that is what it is. So I would request you to just open this activity. Initially, create your library of Orion and then execute this data step and check your log. Go ahead. It's the same thing what we had seen, but you people work on it. Go ahead.
The bonus is not in the Orion same code.
It's the same thing what we have learned. So this activity is telling you the same thing. So that's what we got an error, right? So bonus cannot be used in where statement because it is not in the input data set. It is a new variable that is created in your data set. So for it, we use subsetting if. So subsetting if with your condition. So subsetting if statement tests a condition to determine whether the data step should continue processing the current observation. So in this program, processing reaches the bottom of the data step and outputs an observation only if the condition is true. So
Just
go ahead,
yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
wait here. We apply this code, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling. Now in your data step, just before run, use this subsetting if statement. Done? You'll find your data is now executed without any errors and you get only 10 observations. So you may get, so in our condition, you are writing greater than equal to 33,000. So you get the output. All good? Yes, no. So it's trying to tell out of 165 observations from your input data, 63 were read into PDV, which were true for country Australia. And among them, they have processed or selected only 12 observations, which are true for greater than equal to your 3000 bonus. So in our condition also, I'll just remove this criteria and execute the same. I'll get 12 observations, which are true for all the country equal to Australia and bonus greater than equal to 3000. All good? Yes. Yes, Vaishnavi, Sharda, Nagendra.
Yeah.
Okay. So if this is clear, so this is the same flow chart. So when it is processing your data statement, it's reading an observation. And if when it comes to an expression, if the expression statement is true, then it will go ahead and continue processing your data step. But if it is false, it goes back writing to your data step, correct? Or reading to your upcoming rows from your data step. All right. So look at this activity. So can we use this if subsetting if is also subsetting your data, then instead of writing where and subsetting it, can we use this in single subsetting if the same criteria? So it's telling open in this activity contains two versions of previous program. Submit both programs and compare the output and number of observations read. So what do you notice about the result? Go ahead, work on this and try to figure it out. Done, everyone? Understood what they're trying to tell us with this activity? All right. So it's trying to tell us that instead of writing a separate where and then subsetting if, you can always use the same thing into your if subsetting if statement also by joining both the criteria. So this will happen during execution phase. So what is the difference is that with where the difference only the thing is with where SAS will first subset the data and only those values which are true for this criteria will be processed in PDB. Hence the processing will be faster or more efficient than while processing your data on this condition. So in this case, what happens? Every row will be read in PDB and then it will check whether this is true. But what happens with where it will first filter and only those observations which are true are taken into PDB. So the processing time is more efficient if we write where along with this subsetting if rather than joining or using the criteria to subset with single subsetting if. Understood? So you may have this type of question in your interview when you are facing the technical rounds. All good?
Yes.
All right.
If.
So this is where we can use subsetting if. Now we cannot use subsetting if in proc step. Why? Because proc step works on existing data set and subsetting if also works on existing variable. If you try to use subsetting if in proc step, it will be not working. It will give you an error. Hence, it's telling subsetting if is valid in data step. Okay, that's what it's telling when you use the input source, which is a set statement for the new variable which you're creating. Okay, so you cannot use with your where statement in data step for assignment statement. All good. So this is what the difference is. Where can be implemented in proc and data step, but where cannot be used when a new variable is used to subset. You use only subsetting it. Okay. Any doubts? Any questions here? Okay. Now let's enhance your existing data set with labels and formats. Now you are quite familiar that when we want to generate an output, we always enhance your data report with the labels and the formats which we give in ProcPrint, correct? Now ProcPrint is where you want this report columns not to be seen like this, but you want it with a label on them. So when we apply a label, the original columns are not affected. Correct? It's just a label. Whenever we display a report, it comes with that label. But every time writing in ProcPrint, the label is a tedious job that you want to every time write a ProcPrint with label. You do not want this. So how can one implement it while using your data step? So in data step itself, one can always make use of a label where this label will act as same as your ProcPrint instructions, but the only difference is this will be during your data step. So I'm applying permanent labels. So whenever I write in ProcPrint is just temporarily for the report. So when I write label, I give it as first space name. Then I want my last name column also with a space in my output. So I write last space name and I want this, which is the column in the output, hire date and job title. Okay, so maybe I want this job title also. I don't want as job underscore title. I want it as the instead of job title, what we can say. Okay, leave it. So job space title. Okay, then my hire underscore date. I would like to have it as date of joining. Correct? Okay, let's execute. So when I use my data step with label, I find in my proc print output, I cannot see this. So why I'm not able to see the label? What should be the extra information provided to proc print? Yes, you know, proc print by default never implement label. So until and unless you write label option here. I hope you all remember. Correct? So when I write label, so that time only I would be able to see the labels on my data. So how do I check this attribute of labels on my columns? So you can now see in proc contents where you'll find a new attribute on this data, which is subset 2. When you see its contents, you'll find on the columns of your original, you'll have a new attribute coming as label, and it's telling original columns are as it is. We are not renaming it. It's just this type of label will be applied whenever we are executing with any proc to generate the report. Understood, everyone? This is how labels will be there in your data step. Now, when we are executing our report for proc print, for my salary and my bonus, I want to enhance this values with $sign default format and this joining date also. Whenever anyone looks into the report, this date should appear in a readable form. So again, every time writing in proc print, why don't I apply a permanent format on my data values? So I may write a format for my salary and my bonus values that both should have $10.2 and my higher, see my original column names, I'm writing the same with original values. I give this date like this. And now when I see my report with proc contents and print, so in proc contents in my variable attribute list, I find another attribute added, which is format. So it's telling whenever a data is used, there will be a default format seen on your output. And that's what you see this default format. All good. So you know, if you want to if you wish to show this date not in date 9 dot, but you want to wish to see the date of joining with only month and year. So if you write a format in proc print and you say that your original column higher underscore date should be MONYY 7 dot. So this will simply overwrite your permanent format and it will display your date in the format in which you have written in current proc print. So it's just overwriting. So original format is still there, but in proc print you simply applied a new format. So it just overrides your original format for date and it shows the format like this. All good? Understood what we have done? So this is default, how the values and the column names should be appearing whenever you see the data. So when you write a label and format in data step, it becomes the permanent attributes on your column, which you see in proc contents as well. If you want to override this, you can also always make use in proc print or in any procedure which generates the report to apply what format and label you want. It will simply override the original attributes. All good? Followed? Everyone?
Yes.
So try this out in your current code as well. Done, everyone? Understood this concept? Any doubts?
इसमें ड्रॉप का स्टेटमेंट भी जरूरी रहेगा? ड्रॉप
हाँ, एज पर आ बिजनेस रिक्वायरमेंट आप ड्रॉप कर लो ना, ऐसे. बाकी डिपेंड्स ऑन व्हाट यू वांट टू सिलेक्ट एंड मनी, दैट इज योर बिजनेस क्राइटेरिया.
actually I didn't apply drop, but
It's
it is
okay, no
so
problem.
they're not showing the labels are not changed.
नहीं 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 नहीं, ड्रॉप. हाँ, तो आपने कौन से कॉलम का कौन से वेरिएबल का कैसे नाम लिया है वो चेक कर लो पहले. अगर शेयर योर स्क्रीन. ओके, कंट्रोल दे दो मुझे आपकी स्क्रीन का. ठीक है.
मैंने इस
I
वाले
just-
में लगाया.
नहीं, इट्स ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम. ये किया है आपने. ठीक है. लेबल लिखा है. तो यहाँ प्रॉप प्रिंट में अगर आपको लेबल यूज करना है तो यहाँ पे आप लेबल ऑप्शन लिखे नहीं तो वो आउटपुट में नहीं आएगा. करेक्ट.
सिर्फ इसी को मैं रन करता हूँ अगर तो.
वन सेक, एक मिनट, मुझे सिर्फ ये डेटा स्टेप पहले सबमिट करने दो. प्रॉप कंटेंट्स भी लिखना चाहिए था आपने, तो दैट. और यही पे ही ये जो डेटा सेट किया है ना, इसी में हमको पता चलेगा आपने कहाँ लेबल यूज किया है. कैसे देखोगे? यहाँ पे क्लिक करने पे नीचे आता है तो यू हैव गिवन सी लेबल इज वर्किंग. तो यहाँ पे भी लास्ट नेम को लेबल आ रहा है, लेबल है उसको.
ओके ओके.
जॉब टाइटल यहाँ भी लेबल है. तो कंटेंट्स, यही तो कंटेंट्स है. सिर्फ ये पॉइंट एंड क्लिक एप्लीकेशन है और प्रोग्रामेटिकली आप प्रॉप कंटेंट्स लिख सकते हो अगर आपको रिपोर्ट या रिजल्ट फॉर्म में देखना है तो. So either which ways, okay. So you can write here. अपने नाम क्या दिया है?
AUEPM.
AUEPM ऑस्ट्रेलिया एम्प्लॉइज, करेक्ट. तो आप ये सिर्फ ये भी सबमिट करोगे तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि आपका लेबल लग गया है आपके कॉलम्स को. है, लेबल हो
ओके
गया.
ओके.
ओके.
यस
तो
यस.
आप अगर प्रॉप प्रिंट में देखना है तो वो कॉलम यहाँ पे होना चाहिए. अगर नहीं, लेकिन फर्स्ट नेम लास्ट नेम तो आपने सिलेक्ट किया है तो लेबल देखने के लिए वी नो वी यूज ऑप्शन लेबल इन प्रॉप प्रिंट. देन ओनली प्रॉप प्रिंट विल बी एबल टू डिस्प्ले. तो वो प्रॉप प्रिंट का डेवलपमेंट वैसे ही हुआ है कि until and unless you do not write a label option, see label is coming with space.
यस
आया
यस.
ना?
यस या.
It's working. Okay. Fine. बाकी रेस्ट, वैष्णवी, शारदा,
Got it.
understood?
Yes.
Okay. Vaishnavi, how about you?
Yeah, got it.
So this is what label it's telling. You can apply label on your columns permanently where original columns are not, it's not renamed. It's just these names are appearing different when you are giving it into a report. So it affects your attributes of your columns when you write in a data step permanently while processing your data itself. So this is the syntax for label. It's the same label syntax which we write when prop print. Only the difference is in prop print is just for the result, whereas when we write in a data step, it becomes one of the permanent attribute. This is what CV in your prop contents. Correct? And with prop print, simply write label option, then only that labels will be seen. And the same concept comes with your formats. But now there is a poll. What column heading is displayed for job title in this program? Now pay attention, Pay attention. You have a label given in data step, and in prop print, again, there is a label with this option. So your report will appear with which label?
Prop print.
Absolutely. So it will come only with title option, correct? Your permanent label gets replaced temporarily for this current example. Understood? जो हमने भी अपने कोड में देखा था पहले.
Yes.
It just overrides,
Yeah.
right? So that's what it's telling. See? Okay. Same goes with formats. Right? So format statement associate formats with labels and it becomes one of the permanent attribute. Whenever you will be displaying a format, a report, the report values appear for salary and bonus and hire date with their permanent formats. And this is what you see in your contents, that there is a format attribute and you see default. Simply write proc print on your new data set and the result comes along with the default format. Right? So any questions here? Yes. Okay. So if no questions, we'll quickly have one exercise for you people to be done. So let me have video. So in our period for this topic, let's do exercise number 1. So that's chapter 5, user defined. Chapter 6 we have done, customizing data exercise. So come on page 6-40, level 1, exercise number 4, subsetting observations based on 2 conditions. Go ahead. So after completing chapter 6, which was creating data set from existing data file, that is SAS data sets. Now let's see how one can read Excel sheets into SAS. Now, most of the time, being a data analyst and we are working into SAS, the data which we will be using may not be always into SAS format. We may have data coming from various data source, and one of the most common data sources, Excel, right? So let's see how one can read an Excel workbook into SAS in this chapter. So we'll be seeing how one can read a spreadsheet data and we'll be reading a database data as well. Apart from Excel, we'll also see how one can read a data which is Oracle. Okay, so let's take one example here. So with this objectives, we are going to see how one can read the data with valid var name, one of the options. Then we'll see at the backend SAS Access is the engine which helps to connect to Excel files. Then we'll see the contents for Excel, we'll see the proc print, and of course, we'll create a data set out of a worksheet. Now, moving ahead, you all are familiar with our data now, okay? So you know very well when we are accessing our data, in our data files, we do have some of the files. This is all .sas7bdat, which are SAS files. If we scroll bottom at our data files, we'll find the data sets which are into Excel form. So this is a comma separated data file which opens into Excel, that is CSV. Okay, so one of the file, if I try to open it into our notepad, okay, so the same values you find, they are into values which are comma separated, but we know comma separated values can open into Excel. So let's see one of the worksheet. So this is an Excel worksheet called sales. So when I open this worksheet, it's outside my SAS environment. That is why this Excel can be opened into my windowing environment, correct? So we could see that these are the columns and these are the rows, right? And we know that within the Excel workbook, you have various sheets. So if you observe these sheets carefully, so these sheets represent the information for the employees from different countries. Hence, all United States employees are in United States worksheet and Australia in Australian worksheet. So when you look into this data, this is termed as a standard structured data. Why it is a structured data? Because it is properly structured with proper rows and columns. You have proper columns, and for that columns, now these values are identified that they belong to this columns. Correct? And if you see to this columns for dates, they already have a predefined format of date. Correct? Now this is an Excel workbook. Within it, you have two sheets. So this already have predefined format for your dates. We are going to give instructions to SAS that we want this data into SAS to be connected, and hence we want this information. Once this data is connected, we can then work into SAS to generate reports, correct? So moving back, the same data in your workbook, or sorry, in your studio, you are aware that we have uploaded all the data files along with the code and raw files. So within this, you'll find the sales data as well. So see, it's an Excel data. If I try to click here, it will not open into studio. Okay, so this is what it comes. So we want this data to be connected into SAS Studio so that the information we want, we can convert it into say SAS information or SAS data sets, and then it will be easy for us to work. Hence, how to connect this within SAS? So there is one way where you can always connect a Excel workbook into SAS by using a libname statement. I may give the name for it as Sales Excel S. Okay, and I may provide the path where this Excel workbook resides into my SAS server. So I give this path for my connection of library. Because this is an individual work file of Excel which ends with .xls, it is indicating it's a non-SAS file which you are connecting via libname. So we have to specify that it needs to connect to this non-SAS file by executing or connecting to an internal engine or a software of SAS where we are asking it to connect. Hence, I give this information by giving the engine information telling it's an Excel engine. Okay, so it's highlighted in blue. So in our libname statement, we were not giving any type of engine option here because by default, the data sets which were getting connected was your base SAS data. The default engine used here was your base engine. So even if I write base or even if I don't write base, it is default understood that the default engine is base. Correct? Same thing here. This is not a SAS file, it's a non-SAS file. It's with .xl, that means it's an Excel engine. Either you write Excel or you can use XLSX. Both is valid to read the Excel files. So this is a independent software which has internal plugin to connect to a non-SAS file. Hence, it is a engine. So now when I execute this lib name and I check the message, okay, so it's telling this XLS is not valid till this Excel. So it's not working with XLS because it is only with XLSX. Okay, so let's use Excel only and now execute. Engine Excel cannot be found, error in lib name statement. Okay, XLSX, let's use XLSX, okay. Let's check if this works. All right. So XLSX engine is getting connected. Let's re-execute so that we see the message in log. So what is the engine it's telling? XLSX. Got it? Now let's see, because it's a lib name statement, it's creating a library of sales XLS. So let's check into libraries. You'll find sale XLS. And because it's the whole workbook which you are connecting here, within the workbook, we have two sheets. Hence, the library of sales XLS will be created with those two individual sheets as tables. Understood? Everyone? Yes, no. So if you check the properties for this Australia, it still says that it is this location, that is your library, correct? So this library is nothing but the path where we have connected for this path. All good? Understood everyone? How we
Yes.
can connect to an non-SAS file. So once we have this into your data or into our connection, we can directly use proc print as if it's a SAS file. Data equal to, I use it as sales XLS library dot, I give the name as Australia and I use run. So now when I execute it as a proc print, because it's a library of Excel, it will show me this output with default, whatever the formats were there, along with this column names, which are appearing with the default column names with space. Understand, in Studio, you have the upgradations or the changes or they have made some updates where the columns can be appearing with space when you're using it while connecting it with LibName. As per your data understanding with SAS environment, the columns never have spaces. Because this is still an Excel table, it has these columns along with default formats. We have not converted this Excel table into SAS dataset. Understand? I hope you followed the difference. Yes, it's still an Excel table. We are utilizing it as if it's a SAS table by using this instruction. Are you all understanding it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So for the same Excel workbook which we have connected, you can check into proc contents. Data equal to sales XLS dot Australia. So when I see the contents of this, you'll find it's telling its engine, it's XLS. Because it's non-SAS file, it is not telling how many observations, because observation is the term only used for SAS dataset and not external tables. And it is not even giving the second portion of contents, which was engine host information, which is default coming with SAS data files. But when you see the contents for non-SAS files, you see only two portions of contents, which is the general information and alphabetic list of variables. So this is what it's telling. Its original columns, its labels, its already applied formats are there, type and length. So because it's an Excel sheet, there is no engine host information available as contents. Got the difference? Yes. So once you finish reading what the information you wanted and after generating the report, you know we can always dissociate from the library after the work or task is done. So you can use this libname statement with your libref as a reference name of your file, and you can ask SAS to clear the connection. So when I execute this libname with cells Excel clear, the connection from SAS to this Excel workbook is removed, and when you check your libraries option, you'll not see anywhere this cells Excel like it. Got it?
Means first
Yes.
we can connect the it to our library. After work is done, we can also disconnect it from the
Yes,
library.
so this is always recommended because the connection, if you keep it on, it's just going to utilize the space or unnecessary, it's utilizing the processing time also. So once the work is done, the required information is needed from the external data, just dissociate the connection.
Okay.
Okay, so you can also try this because you are working into your own studio. Just give this path accordingly from your studio path of your files and folder for sales. Excellent. All good?
Yeah.
So go ahead with this. So according in your studio, you have this. So just right click and take the properties and put the path here.
My libname statement is not running.
Do you have any errors?
This code is invalid physical name for library.
So your name should not be more than 8 characters long. Should always begin with a letter or an underscore. Just share your screen. Okay. Show me your log. Where is the message of physical library sales access error in this? Oh, just check how you are not going to use .xls file. You have to use because you are using engine as xlsx. So your file extension should also be xlsx. So you have that file here, sales.xlsx. Yeah, now you execute.
This one.
Correct.
Oh, okay, I was trying with this one.
Yes, correct. So now execute this. Got it? Now
Yeah.
check your library.
Okay, okay.
Yes. Check the library in libraries option with the name of sales excellence and check that library of sales excellence. No, sales excellence. It has two
Australia
tables.
and this,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Now check the contents and profit. Nagendra and Sharda, I hope you have followed the concept.
Yes.
Yes.
Are you able to work on it?
Got it.
Check the contents, check your prospect, and then dissociate from your library. Done, everyone? Okay. So now in our earlier example, we had seen the columns were coming along with the default column naming concepts of Excel with spaces, correct? So if we want those column names to be read as a SAS column names, where the spaces or special signs of the column names are converted into underscore, we use a system statement, which is a global statement called options, and we use an option called as valid var name. And this valid var name, it specifies the rule for valid SAS variable names. Okay, so valid var name equal to option. So you have various options, any, or you want the column names to be uppercase or as per the very initial version of SAS engine, which was V7, so that the columns are being used to convert it into SAS. Okay. So after that, I'm going to create a data set out of my Excel, because I don't want every time the report only to be connected through Excel and generated. So let's create a data set out of it. So I create a data. Maybe I want to save it into my work library itself. I want to read only Australia, which is an XLS name. I just give it as, so that it is understood that we had read from Excel workbook. Set from sales, as if I am reading it as if it's a SAS file, from a library, dot, I write Australia. All right, and I use run. So let's execute again along with my options. So of course, this is the contents telling for my sales Excel library. Okay, and my log is telling, see the variables now, where the original variable from my data, which was from Excel workbook as employee space ID, is now converted into employee underscore ID. Why? Because I have created a data set, which is Australia XLS, reading from a non-Excel library, or sorry, non-SAS library, and from that library, I'm reading its workbook Australia to create a data set, and those columns were from Excel, which were having spaces or any special sign, is now converted to underscore, which is following my SAS naming conventions. So this is the note it is telling, and it's telling my data set is created by reading from a Excel workbook. Understood? So if you see this data, your columns are as per SAS naming conventions, and all the rows and columns are copied from Excel to a SAS file. Understood? And now you can just check this data contents, which is now your SAS file contents. Okay, now no need of using this because it's your SAS file. Simply execute your contents. Now see, you have engine host information for it because it's a data file now. So it's telling it's V9 as the latest engine which we are using for your SAS data files. Now it's telling you have observations and it's alphabetic list of variables, and with the default. Now the format default on your dates was MMDDYY for higher date, but it is showing you as date 9 dot into SAS environment. See, sorry, it's the same, which is not changing at all. I'm sorry. So this is also the same format. And this is how you could see the column names are along with its SAS naming conventions, that the spaces are converted to underscore. Understood what options valid var name is doing? So it's actually changing your columns which has spaces into this Excel as per SAS naming conventions, which we see into your data set. All good. Now we got our data set. No need of again using this. So you can dissociate the library. because you have taken the information and converted into SAS file from Excel. And once you have a data set, you are now ready to use it into any prompts to generate the report. Understood what we have done?
Means can we say that the statement is converting the Excel file into the data?
This is what we are doing it, right?
Hmm.
It's reading as if a input source of data to create a SAS data set. That's why we are using a data set. Earlier, we did not create any data out of it.
Yeah.
We simply used proc print and proc contents on
We
this.
just connected the
Yes,
file.
absolutely. Now we are creating a data out of it by
Okay.
using a data statement. Understood. And this valid varnam is to convert non-column or columns name of Excel as per SAS column names. And that is why
Okay.
when we had seen from or into your log that when a data step was processed, it was giving this information that column names are changing from this to this into your data set. That is why your data set you'll find this. Correct?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So you try this now. Now what you do is the code earlier which you have written, you just give a comment on that code, that above that code that you are simply connecting to SAS file, and then you write another statements like this, and then you give comment on it that you are actually converting a non-SAS file into a SAS file. All good?
Once this Excel file is extracted, it remains in the temporary file, that is work library, as a SAS.
Sharda, this is Excel workbook. It's a library, okay? And this data set, we are creating it as a SAS data set. If you want to save it permanently, you can give it a permanent libref also by giving this library reference. So it will be saved permanent into our library. But this is still a non-SAS file. So you are dissociating. So once you extract the information from Excel library and you save it as a SAS data set, so no need of every time connecting from a library of Excel. You have your data with us in this library. Understood now?
Okay.
Are you getting it? The concept. So
Yes.
if I don't write this, it will be in work. Of course, that is temporary. But if you end your session and you restart it again for your next day, you will not have this data. So if you don't want to save it in permanently, you can save this code itself so that every day you can just open this code and execute it. So that will also save the space for your data. Getting it? So either which ways you can work. All good?
Yes.
Try it out this.
Same code we have to try, which is on the screen, no?
Yeah, same. So you have already written earlier this. Okay, just few modifications. So earlier code you don't remove it. Just write that code for your understanding in future that it was simply connecting to Excel. Whereas this from Excel you are creating a data set. And you are converting the Excel column names as per SAS naming conventions by using options statement.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, understood it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the same thing is on the slides. So this is what we have seen: var name and engine and contents and all, and drop print from a worksheet and create a data set used as worksheet as an input source. So this is what the scenario is. We have to generate a report for sales information of employees of sales department from Australia, but the input source is in XLS. And that source has to connect into SaaS environment so that we generate a report. So for that, whenever we are using an Excel as an input source of data into SaaS, we use, or SaaS by default at the backend uses an engine called as SaaS Access software, with which is a plugin type of software in the backend. SaaS connects to Excel, so it is with PC interference. What does it mean? That means it is now Excel and all are PC files, right? That is by default a Windows operating environment, so it's a PC file. So SaaS Access is used at the backend so that you create a data set out of it and you can process it into SaaS environment. So to examine your Excel, we opened it into Excel and we had seen this is a Excel workbook which consists of 2 sheets within it, independent sheets information for 2 different countries. And look at the column names. They are not at all as per SaaS naming conventions. They have spaces, or even sometimes they may have asterisk as one of the special signs into the columns of Excel, which is valid for Excel. And if you'll observe the date values, or if you see this, they are already having the date or the data for dates with default formats. But this is not going to be possible into SaaS, correct? So now this is a very simple question. Based on material already discussed, does SAS allow embedded blanks or any special characters within a variable name, that is column name? Yes or no? Now we've already discussed it. Does SAS entertain the column names with blank or special characters?
No.
Correct. So the answer is no, because as per SAS
No.
naming conventions, the column name should always begin with a letter or underscore. Subsequent can be number, but within the names of column, you cannot have blank or special signs. Correct? And it should not be more than 32 characters long. And SAS column names can be uppercase, lowercase, or mixed case. Correct? So its column names are not case sensitive in SAS. So this is general description again to recap about the column names. But in our Excel sheet, these columns are not at all as per your SAS naming conventions. So please make a note. We are working into SAS Studio, which is one of the enhanced and developed application of SAS programming environment, which is a cloud application. So when we are connecting to SAS, and we saw with ProcPrint also, the columns were displayed into your ProcPrint with spaces. So that was the enhanced options which are already there in Studio. But if the same way, if you would have done with your base SAS software which were installed into windowing operations, it would have shown that the column names has a special signs with a dollar. Okay, so what does it mean? So it would have come like this, but we would have to give the column names telling that it has spaces. So to overcome the spaces, we would need to give the column name in quotes with N literal. So this N literal indicates SAS that though it is a non-column name, but still process it with this. So it will take care of special signs. Now, this type of instructions is no more needed into Studio. This was earlier when, if in case if we use SAS windowing applications, okay, with Studio and Enterprise Guide, it is taken care now. Okay, so no need of, because the column name contains spaces, to mask the space information, put it into quotes and write N. So that was it's telling it will be taken care by the column name. But to avoid that, you can make use of a system options, which is a global statement telling valid var name equal to V7. So if this system option is set, it's a global statement. Once it is set, even if you read any type of non-SAS files, all your naming conventions are converted to SAS naming conventions followed through version 7, which is V7. Okay, so that's what it will be doing. The same thing which we had seen earlier into poll. Hence, you can now connect with any of the files. So either you write the engine information as Excel or PC files or XLS. See? All good? Now, what is this ampersand path? I'll explain you later, not now. But this ampersand path is nothing but it's representing, it's a macro variable. It's a symbolic presentation for this path. That means every time typing the path in my program like this. So we know till here, these things are common. Rest the file keeps on changing. So even if tomorrow I have a new file to be read, so do we have any other file apart from this? And XLS. We have CSV, a new cell CMPS. We have custom info XLS. Now, in case if I want to read this file, if I go and check its path, I find it is in the same path of my folder prog1, correct? Only this path is changing. So every time giving the whole path, I can symbolically substitute or represent this path. So for that, I create a macro. And this macro is a language which always starts with a keyword starting with a % sign. So I create a macro variable called path, and I tell SAS that this path from here to here is going to be a common or represent with the name termed as path. And I never represent this path word here with simple word as path, but I represent it with a symbol called ampersand, and I put it into double quotes. So what is this ampersand? If you want to check, I'm going to use a person put statement. Again, it's a macro language. So put means show the current information into log. So I tell SAS, tell me what is the information for path. So this is what, when I check this out, in my log, I find that when I write this ampersand sign, it represents it's actually this path, and this path will be showing me the value, which is this. So this is one way to check the values in log by using person code for your macro. Either I use it this way, or there is another way of instructions telling ampersand is nothing but my macro variable name called path. So this is also one way to show the information into log for my macro values. So this is how it will tell path is equal to this. So instead of every time writing the whole path, I represent with this symbol. Now, what I do is, if I want to get connected with this new library, I may give this as cust XLS, and I simply write the file name here as custfm.xls. See, custfm.xlsx. I simply execute this now. I find it's executed. Fine. So I check the log. Oh, sorry, I check my library. So where do I find this? It does not have any workbook or any individual file. So it simply tells that we have got connected to it. So my workbook has got connected. Fine. Everyone understood
Yes.
what is this? Okay. So cust FM. Let us check. Do we have anything into it? Cust FM, it's Excel. If I just open, okay, it has males and females as two. It should have come here. Excel part. files and server, XLS. All right, check the library. Yeah, now I could see for this workbook, these two files. All good? Understood? Yes, no? So that is what this slide was telling about ampersand part. All fine? So this is just the information about depending on which environment, operating environment you're working, how you can change the path names. Okay? And it's the same explanation. Same thing with PC files and all. That's it. So exploring a library, we use the same. Okay. Now in case I have connected to this file, it's a new Excel file. Okay. Now this was one way without programmatically I explored my library. I just point or I clicked this library. I could see there are two tables within it in this library. But programmatically, how do I see the contents for this library? I can use a proc content procedure to check the contents of my library. So I use proc contents data equal to, I use my library reference name is XLS, correct? And within this library, I want to see all the tables, whatever it has. So I use this two-level data set name, correct? But I don't want to see individual files. So I use a keyword underscore all underscore. And I use. So when I execute this, I find I get the result telling a description telling this is the library, its engine, and what is its path, and it tells what are the two tables within it. So it has females and males. See its member type, its table, its data, and DBMS type, its table. And for each individual table, it's giving you its contents. See, again for males. Got it? So along with the library information, it's also giving you the contents of your individual tables. All good? Followed? Yes. But in case I don't want to see this individual contents of my tables, correct? I just want to see this part, that what is my library type and what are the tables into it. I just want to see this part of my report. So what I do is I write, I use the same. For you, I'm showing you in a different code where I give it a comment telling what this code I'm doing it. So this code is to check the contents of library. So along with this, I use a option called NODS. So what does this NODS? It suppress printing the contents of individual files. So here by default, I see the contents of each individual file, but here I am suppressing the contents of individual files. Okay, so this is what when I execute it, I find there is no detailed contents of each table. This is just the content of your library, its type, its path, and what tables it has. Understood the difference between, there should be space between all and NODS. All good? Yes?
Yes.
No? Okay. So just try this along with this. I'll just show you this. This is one-time statement, okay? %lit. So just for your understanding, I'll paste it here. And how do you check its path in log? Fine, check this. So you can work on this part. Go ahead.
Got it.
Understood the concept?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sharda, and it's the same thing what is said in this demo, D01A, D01B. And of course, at the end, you can always dissociate the connection of the library by using libname, libref, and clear option. Okay, so this is what you see. Now this is the example where it shows that these are the tables with the name with $sign. It is coming with respect to windowing environment. As in EG and our studio, this is no more, it's been a developed version. So this part never appears for us. Okay, that's it. Yes, so we see the contents. Yeah, if it was an windowing environment and if you have to refer the table to be proc print, you had to give this name because the name of the file was coming with a $sign. And we know the SAS naming conventions never have this $sign. So we put it into quotes and N literal. So this N literal will mask this meaning of special sign. It will read it as a simple table. So this is the example which we use directly into SAS Studio. Okay. That's it. It's the same thing. Fine. And so on. Okay, now answer this poll. You submit the statement below. Which step displays the United States worksheet? You are connecting the worksheet with libname Excel and the path. So this is your worksheet and this is your libref. So which is the correct option if you want to display the data for this worksheet of United States? Yes. Which proc print is going to give you the result for this workbook? Now imagine you are working with windowing environment. And you're working with SAS Studio. Yes. So because our workbook library is Excel, this is its engine. So Excel.United States. So this could be in your studio. And if it is a windowing environment, because it's from the windowing environment, we know this non-data file always represent with $. Hence, you put it into quotes and N. So this is how it is with windowing environment. And this would be for your studio environment. Okay. So you have
Okay.
same scenario here for Excel. So we have created a data set out of it and we'll be selecting a data for ref. So again, you're reading it, same thing, what we have seen earlier. You're creating a data, you can use the condition, you can use your where statement and all. And of course, all other things is possible. Once you connect with your data, you create a data set as per your business requirement. And that's what they have shown here. Create a bonus and apply labels and formats. So this is the demo D03A and 3B. So if we check this demo, it's already available for us with the code. So it's for lesson number 6. Sorry, yeah. It's lesson number 7, D03A and 3. So same thing now, depending on your working environment, you are going to change the path. And this is the same thing where you are creating a data set. Okay, so you see the contents of your Excel. And 3B is also the same, where you enhances by label, formats and all. All good? So quickly open this both the demos, change the path accordingly and work on it. Go ahead. Either work with demo D03A. So it's for chapter 7, D03A. Go ahead. Done, everyone? Now, no need of using this option with $sign, because in our case, we are not working in windowing environment. You can directly give this name without a dollar name and an N literal. So remove all this. It's not required for us. All good?
Okay.
Yeah. Done? All right. So if this is done, just pay attention to our next topic. Now, in this topic is how one can read from a database. So Excel is also one of the database, but apart from it, if you had Oracle, the same concept of SAS access, okay, from Oracle to SAS and a report. But the only difference in your libname statement is going to be, because Oracle is a huge database environment, it consists of login credentials. So hence, along with the libref and the engine, you have to provide the user path, the schema, and all options. So these are the additional options along with this libname where this option stands. And the path information is provided as path equal to. So in our libname statement, this would be additional informations along with your libref and its name of the file, okay, and its engine. So once you get connected, this is what you see the contents. What is the libref here? OA. So OA dot underscore all underscore. So this would be the syntax, and later on same syntax to associate with the library. Now in our data of our training, we do not have any Oracle data file, and we do not have, for student version of Studio which we are using currently, any connections with Oracle. So we cannot do the demonstration, but just understand this concept of this syntax, okay? That along with your path and your libref and engine name, you have to give additional options for username, password, schema, and the path has to provide it as path equal to. Rest all is the same as with Excel. All good? Once you have connected, you can use it to create a report, or you can create a data set out of an Oracle file into a SAS environment. Once the data is available from this non-SAS file, then you can dissociate with your library. Fine. And you get the report for your print. And for more information, yes, you can read through your help document how one can connect to various databases. See, they have given all the information of various databases. Fine, everyone. That's it. So this is the end of your chapter where we had seen how one can create a data file from a non-SAS files. All good? Yes, no,
Yes.
all right. So rest topic for this chapter, which is what we had seen, customizing data with exercise. So this is what with Excel it is. You can always read it. So reading this, there's no exercise, but yeah, one can always work with the exercise from this page, which is 7-EP. Okay, so I leave this also as a self-study. Why I'm giving you as a self-study? Because you will at least have one hands-on on this so that you get confidence how to work on it. Okay, so you can work this as a self-study. So for today, we'll stop our day. But the next topic on Saturday, which we are going to do is that now we had seen how one can create a data set from an existing data file, how you can read a data set from a non-SAS file, and this is a chapter that how one can read a data set from a raw data file. That is, these are not at all a standard data, standard structured data, or you cannot say it's a structured table. From non-structured table, we have to create a structured data set. So that is what this whole chapter would be. So we'll be covering this chapter on next Saturday. All good? So meanwhile, you can just revise the topics till whatever we have done till chapter 7. So enjoy your Sunday afternoon. Thanks for attending the class. Take care and bye till Saturday. All good?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.